All right, show me the money is here. Week 3 NFL picks. Join me today to break it all down. Our resident Patriots fan, a Barstool sports guy, Jon Stanko is here. Stanko, welcome back. How are you?
Well, you opened up with resident Patriots fan, and that means I'm dejected, right? That means that's the way I have to feel.
Yeah, I mean it's not familiar territory for you having starting off a year 0-2.
No, it's not. First time since 2001. We all know what happened in 2001, but this is a different time, different year, different team. So it's been a weird first 2 weeks. A lot of people grasping at optimism despite being 0-2. Part of me believes in that, but part of me is like, you are where your record is, and we haven't won yet, and we don't have any easy games coming up either. So it's tough to be a New England fan right now, and that sounds incredibly hoity of me to say.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, boy, like I've been winning for so much. It's hard to actually
I
find
know.
folk.
It's hard to just be in one possession games with a chance to win every time. There are some teams who would kill for that. But unfortunately, we're sitting 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game on Sunday night. I was locked into that one. Obviously, the Jets guy, AFC East games are important to me. I keep an eye on this one. Like, what was your big takeaway from that game?
I mean, the big takeaway is the defense is good. Like, I listen, the first 2 weeks you play the Eagles and the Dolphins, two of theoretically the highest octane offenses in the NFL. And the defense held their own. They did their job. You held the Miami to 24 points. Like that's not much more you can ask for. You held Tyreek Hill in check. You held Jalen Waddle in check. You asked them to beat you with the run game, and they did. Credit to Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins, but the defense is doing their job. It's the offense. While it looks better this year than years past, Mike, there's still no explosiveness. I think I saw a stat today from Warren Sharp. Mac Jones is 1 for 11 this year on passes of 20 or more yards down the field. There's still not a lot of excitement to be happening and a lot of screen passes. And the thing about screen passes is secondaries need to respect your deep ball in order for screen passes to work. When you got safeties playing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, it's hard to get any separation for those slot receivers and speedy guys to create room off the line. And things are tough right now on the offense. So they got to get some magic work in there, but they're playing the Jets this week. And as you know, Jets defense pretty damn good themselves. So again, a tough task coming up ahead, but defense is good. Offense, it needs work, and I don't know an easy solution to fix it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the positive is now you actually have an offensive coordinator calling plays opposed to whatever the hell last year was. But I think the
Yeah.
thing you worry about here is like obviously you said like you're at a point where you watch teams like this is like a team that like they're going to be good enough to win some games on their defense and running. They're not going to be good enough to make the playoffs and what's going to be a very deep conference. So where is the panic meter right now in the Patriots?
The panic meter is low because expectations weren't that high, right? I mean, I had this team at optimistically 8 or 9 wins. As an objective fan, I was like 8 or 9 wins. We might hover around the wild card. We'll like be in the graphic that they put up on the broadcast, but by week 16 or 17, we'll be out of it. The thing is, we're competitive against the very good teams, but we're not good enough. We don't have enough athleticism, and you can't just develop that over the course of the year. You need to draft that or sign it in free agency or whatnot. We're gonna beat some teams that are either more youthful than us, or we're just gonna outcoach teams. Someone said to me, I think it might have been Steve, said the Patriots are a very untalented team that's very well coached, and that's true. Except for the penalties and stuff, but they have the ingenuity like they had on special teams on Sunday night. The offense is starting to cook. They just don't have a lot of talent, and they're trying to get by with a very low baseline. And it's hard to do that when you have teams with such high ceilings and such skilled players like the Eagles and the Dolphins in the first 2 weeks. So panic meter is not very high because the ceiling wasn't very high with the team, right? I think if we lose this week against the Jets, then I'm going to be like, shit, are we going to win like 6 games this year? Is that what's going to be like? Then it's going to be really tough because I think our defense should perform well this week, but I also don't know how the hell we're going to score any points.
Yeah, for sure. And this game is an important game for both these teams, obviously, much more for you guys right now because the Patriots are trying to get in the win column here. The Jets are trying to beat the boogeyman and end the 14-game losing streak here. So, like, what do
It's
you think?
crazy. It's 14 games. It's crazy. It's 14 games.
Yeah, I mean, the last one is still the Eric Decker in the end zone in overtime, 2015. That's the last one.
I mean, I remember last year, the second game of the year, I had our friend Steve Colzo over, and we were watching it all with our friends. It was a horrendous football game, 3-3, going to go to overtime, awful. And then Marcus Jones with a punt return, and I mean, it was a great ending for me, but I felt bad for everyone who had to watch it with us because the game was ugly.
Yeah.
And so and we might have that same thing coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on the call for that one, too.
Why subject them to this, man? Why? There's no reason to.
To be fair to the CBS people, I think this is a sign before Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
You know what? That's probably fair. That's probably fair. But I mean, they can switch it up, right? I mean, that's just changing travel plans. I mean, come on.
It's also a single header week for CBS. They don't have a 425 game. So they might have said, okay, they're going to send this game out because this is a big rivalry game in the AFC.
All right. Well, now you're coming with rational reasons, so I will respect that, Mike. Yes, maybe it does make sense for them to be on the call.
Yeah, but I think the thing I'm watching for with this game, and I think is interesting here, is because obviously last week for the Jets, when I'm watching the Dallas game, obviously this Dallas defense is like otherworldly compared to what we've seen from like the rest of the league. I mean, they did the Giants week one. The Jets were hanging with them for a half, and then they just couldn't get all the feel on offense, and that has their own issue. But I think with this game, I think the interesting thing is here, the defense is good for New England, not nearly as good as Dallas is. So you wonder here, like, is Zach Wilson confident enough to make plays against Belichick? And Belichick fooled him twice last year. So we'll see. Like, I think if Zach will make a play or two, I think it's gonna be a big difference because that was what would have helped the Jets last year.
Yeah, for sure. I think the one thing though is the Patriots are fantastic. They have a good pass rush. I want to say fantastic. They have a good pass rush and they have a very good secondary. And we saw the secondary do its job against Miami. They held them in check. And I mean, Miami has a better passing attack than the New York Jets. That's not breaking news there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Patriots deploy something similar to like they did on Sunday night against Garrett Wilson. Make sure he doesn't kill you, and then force Zach Wilson to make smart decisions, get rid of the ball fast, and find the open receivers quickly off the line. Zach Wilson, I wouldn't say that's his specialty, is reading a defense, making a good first read, and getting the ball out quickly. That's not something he's excelled with before. So they're going to try and force him into mistakes, and the Patriots have to play mistake-free football, which they haven't. They have 4 turnovers through 2 games. They've committed, I think, 12 penalties. It's not very. They're not being disciplined in that front either. The Patriots can't afford to make any mistakes, and they have to try and force Zach Wilson to make at least 1 or 2. And it'd be great if we can get some sacks on him as well. But both offensive lines are great, so maybe both teams will just take a wash on that.
Yeah, I feel like this game has like 14-10 written all over it.
Yeah, I mean the over under last I saw was 37. I mean I think for Steve that's the lock of the century is to take the under. I'm not entirely sure. I think the scoring plays um are going to kind of come out of nowhere. I think they're going to be long and explosive plays because you're going to have very compact defenses. And if somebody gets behind the last layer of the secondary, it may be like a 50-yard pass as a scoring play or a slant route that goes 70 yards, aka Pickens on Monday night, because everyone's just compressed in trying to stop the run and keep everything in front of them. So I think it's going to be something like that where a few explosive plays is going to be the deciding factor.
Or with the Garrett Wilson play against the Cowboys the first half, that kind of play.
Right. It is what it is. It's not going to be a pretty football game, and if it's the 1 o'clock slate on CBS where Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are going to be on it, the majority of America is going to see it, and that's unfortunate for them. I mean, they got a taste of what Monday night was like with some ugly football. This Thursday night's not much better with San Francisco and the Giants without Barkley, and then you got 1 o'clock Patriots Jets also with the primetime crew there. So yikes to the NFL in terms of 4 straight primetime matchups.
Not very good, but we'll get to the reason why you're here, just the picks of the week. Our friend Troy Moriello was on the horn last week. He did some picks. He went 1-2 on the week. He took the Texans getting a point and a half on the calls. It was a logical pick. They got blown out in the game. He took the Steelers getting with 2 on Monday night. The defense carried him there. He won that one. He had the Packers laying the 1. They ended up losing on the road here. So 1-2 for Troy last week.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had Houston as well. I can't blame Troy for that. I had New Orleans, so we pushed because I got them at 3. You got the Panthers at 3.5, so good for you. And me and you, Mike, I said Washington might run outright, and they did. So I was with you in Washington as well.
Yeah, you referenced 2 of my picks here. I had the Panthers getting the hook on Monday night, 3.5. They covered on the late touchdown, the 2-point conversion. Commanders, I said last week with Troy, I think they can win this game outright. They did, so big comeback, they win. I was wrong on the Giants. I thought the Giants would take care of this game to go down 20-0. They're lucky to win the game outright. It's expected to cover. So 2-1 for the year, 4-2 overall.
I mean, that's not bad. 4-2, you take that. That's profitable thus far. I mean, the Giants, they played 6 horrendous quarters of football, and then finally Daniel Jones woke up. I think he had like 30 fantasy points in like the second half against the Cardinals. Crazy. So, well, I mean, they got their work cut out for them on Thursday night, though, against the 49ers.
Yeah, I was lucky I didn't have to play Daniel Jones in fantasy this week. That would have been a problem.
That would have been a big problem. I did have to go up against Saquon Barkley in a league, and didn't turn out as a W for me.
Yeah, I have in both my leagues, I have my new King running back ones. They sort of went like 0 RBs in one league because I was the way the board fell. Raheem Mostert on Sunday Night Football had a great game for me.
He did. He had that explosive touchdown run too in the fourth quarter. You were probably jumping for joy on that one.
Oh, yes, I was here. So let's go ahead here. Let's go ahead and do some picks for the podcast. So, as the guest, you can go first here. So, where are you going here with pick number one?
My first pick is going to be a team that showed out on Sunday after a tough week one loss, and that's the Buffalo Bills giving 6.5 points. I think the Bills offense woke up against the Raiders. I think Josh Allen finally took care of the football the way he was supposed to. And guess what? They're playing the Commanders, right? I don't think the Commanders have really played anyone that great thus far. Because like we said, we thought they could win against Denver outright last week because Denver kind of stinks. So I kind of like the Buffalo Bills. I think they're going to cover by more than a touchdown. I think they might win by 2 touchdowns, frankly, because the Commanders, they're not going to be able to keep up. They're a good offense. They have some exciting players, but Josh Allen is going to be able to withstand that pass rush. He can move around enough, and I think they cover the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, getting that 6.5, tremendous value here for the Commander Bill line here. I mean, Washington might be the most fraudulent 2-0 team in the league because they played out. They could barely beat them. They go down 21-3 to Denver at the rally all the way back to win that game, and Denver still screwed it up here. I think this is a double-digit win for the Bills.
I would agree with you. And it's like the Commanders are 2-0, and everyone's like, are you sure they're 2-0? Are you sure? They're kind of the antithesis of the Patriots, who are 0-2, had 2 competitive close games, and the fans are like, are the Patriots good? So they're on 2 opposite sides of the spectrum, and maybe this week they meet in the middle and they kind of even out.
All right, so that's pick number one. We're going with pick two.
Pick two, I'm going to go with another team that's going to absolutely decimate their opponent, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They are hosting the Chicago Bears, 12.5 points of the spread. I might take it if it was freaking 20. The Bears cannot stop a sit. They cannot stop anything. They are Swiss cheese in almost every single department on the defense. And guess what? Travis Kelce's back. The Chiefs won a tough game last week against the Jaguars, and their offense wasn't totally in sync yet, right? That was a very low scoring game. The over-under was 50.5, and I don't even think it got to like 25 or 30. So I think the Chiefs are due for an offensive explosion. You have Travis Kelce going to practice a whole entire week. They're back at home, and the Bears' offense looks terrible. Justin Fields still can't throw the ball, and I think he only had 3 designed rushes last week, which is his best asset. So unless the Bears decide to let him run loose, I don't think they're going to do that because I don't think they're that well coached. So I think the Chiefs absolutely steamroll the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I like the pick. I didn't take it because for me, it's a case of like I want to see the Chiefs do it because they haven't looked great the first 2 weeks. But you very well are probably on the right side of this. It's going to be a very big lopsided win. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think it's going to be double digits. Now, I guarantee you 12.5 is a lot. It is a lot of points. But I think they're going to be able to get it done because I think they need a game where they feel good about themselves. And sorry, Chicago, you're about to be the guinea pig in that test.
Yep. So where are you going with your last pick of the week?
Last pick of the week, the line has shifted quite a bit due to some injury prognosis that's shifting around. But I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I think you said it was now at 2.5 or 2.
Plus 2. It shifted 4.5 points in the span of a day in the Burrow news.
Yeah, well, guess what? I kind of still like it either way. And guess what? If Burrow's back and it's back to 6.5, I still like it. Because the Rams are pretty good. Matthew Stafford's playing very well. Their offense is moving, and the Bengals have not looked good at all. They haven't looked great at all. And you're asking Joe Burrow either on a hobbled calf to go around and run away from Aaron Donald. I don't think that's going to be that great. I mean, what was the stat? I think Joe Burrow has taken like all but 5 snaps from the shotgun just because he doesn't feel comfortable backing up on that leg yet. It's tough to feel confidence in the Bengals right now. Jamar Chase has not been getting going. It was T. Higgins who carried them last week. Things are not looking good for the Bengals, and I don't think they're going to get much better because the Rams are playing quite well. They hung in there with San Francisco enough for it to be competitive, and so I'm going to go with the Rams here. And it kind of feels ugly because the Bengals were a Super Bowl pick for some people, and it's like they can't start 0-3. No way. Joe Burrow's too good. That team is too talented. I think they're going to drop to 0-3. So I'm taking this one, even though a lot of people aren't going to like it. That's why I kind of love it.
Yeah, I like the logic of the pick as well. Obviously, right now, plus 2 is not. If Burrow plays here, I feel like if you're a guy who wants to bet that game, you just wait till you get that confirmation on Burrow. If it moves up again, then you just lock it in.
Right. I would agree. And I think that maybe you wait to see if this line starts to shift back towards Cincinnati toward the end of the week. If you can get it at 3, maybe it goes back up to that with people starting to buy the Bengals Kool-Aid. They're not going to start 0-3. Maybe you get that 3, which is obviously a key number. So, but either way, I think the Rams, they're feisty. They're a good team right now. And they're probably the second best team in the NFC West in terms of teams of being consistent over the first 2 weeks. Who knows what's going to happen? But right now, Stafford is better than Burrow. Right now, the Rams offense is better than the Bengals. And I think we're going to go there. So that's why I'm going to pick the Rams. Even though it's kind of slimy, I still like it.
All right, so Stanko is on board now. I'm up now. Pick number 1 here. I go with a team that beat you guys on Sunday. On Sunday night, I'm going to take the Dolphins laying 6.5 at home against the Broncos. And this one, I saw the number. I'm like, this doesn't make much sense here. Denver started at home with 2 games they should have won against the Raiders and the Commanders. Found a way to lose both. They're flying across the country for Miami's home opener. Miami's looked great their first 2 games. I'm getting them less than a touchdown. This feels too easy. I'm going to take the Dolphins and not risk the stupid and get the 6.5 yards there.
Yeah, I mean, at the only worry, I guess, if it's a letdown spot, but I'm with you. This was one of those ones I looked at really, really hard. But I only worry about a letdown spot. That's all. I still think Miami wins the game, but it might be closer just because they're coming off a high on Sunday night. But I agree with you. I looked at this one real hard.
All right, it's pick number 1. Pick number 2. I'm going to take the Lions laying 3 at home against the Falcons here. I think this is sort of an overreaction to what Detroit did last week, where they struggled late against Seattle defensively. Atlanta's coming in here 2-0. They beat the Panthers at home, beat the Packers at home on a last-second field goal. Like, I do not think Atlanta is as good as a 2-0 record is here. I think Detroit's a more talented team. They're at home. They're desperate. They're destined to bounce back after that bad loss here. I think Atlanta's walked to a buzzsaw here. Don't think the deal is that good. I think Detroit's going to go up and down the field on them. Give me the Falcons. The Lions laying the 3 there.
I don't know if I love this one. I think this game is a toss-up. I think this game is a coin flip. The Falcons have been impressive the first 2 weeks, and sure, you could say the Packers gave away the game on Sunday, but the Falcons still had to come from behind and take it. So I think this one's a 50-50 matchup because the Lions, their offense has not been cooking the first 2 weeks. It's been a little bit stop and go. And to be fair, in their week 1 win against Kansas City, it wasn't the offense that got them the win. It was the defense. So this game is going to be, I think it's going to be really close. So I'm not going to say I think Atlanta's going to win, but I do think it's a 50-50 toss-up.
All right, that's pick number 2 here. Pick number 3, I'm going to lay the big wood here with the Cowboys laying the 12 in Arizona. I mean, we saw what they did to the Giants. We saw what they did to the Jets. We saw Arizona play 2 games, and they are not nearly as talented as either the Giants or the Jets here. What confidence do I have that Dallas is all of a sudden play down to their level and lay an egg in this game and lose by or win by less than 10 points? I think this is a 2-touchdown running away victory for the Cowboys. We're just steamrolling people right now. So give me Dallas, lay all the wood, pick 3.
Yeah, over under 10 combined points scored by Arizona in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Micah Parsons might have 3 sacks right off the bat. James Conner's really the only offensive weapon for the Cardinals that has been consistent over the first 2 weeks, and he's been very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But again, I agree with you. This Dallas defense, they have speed that it cannot be measured right now, and they are playing absolutely lights out. I do like this pick a lot.
All right, so to reset the picks here for week 3, Stanko is taking the Bills laying 6.5. He's taking the Chiefs laying 12.5. The Chargers the Rams +2. Those logos are too similar for the Rams and Chargers. I hate that. But I picks the Dolphins laying 6.5, Lions laying 3, Cowboys Big Wood laying the 12 in Arizona. Those are your picks here for week number 3 on the podcast. Next week, we're going to be joined by a friend of ours, Martino Puccios, coming on the picks next segment next week to do the podcast.
You're going with 3 favorites this week, Mike. 3 favorites. You feel all right about that?
Feel pretty good about that.
All right. Okay. I usually got to try and sprinkle one underdog in there somewhere.
Took 2 dogs last week.
You know what? Touche. You're right. Touche.
They both hit, so I will point that out.
All right, that's fair. You're in the green there.
Yeah, I'm also set up, as I've been doing throughout the season on the podcast here. I'm going to set up my knockout pick for the week. I made it through the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
In Baltimore week 1, I went Buffalo week 2. This week, I feel there's a lot of options on the board. I'm going Jacksonville this week over Houston at home.
Jacksonville over Houston at home. Okay, I can like that pick. Jacksonville needs a bounce back. Their offense was absolute trash against Kansas City. That's another reason I like Kansas City, by the way, against the Bears. That defense looked really good last week. Chris Jones was back. You think that the Bears are going to be able to protect Justin Fields against that? Absolutely not. Jaguars couldn't do anything. You think the Bears are? No. For my survivor pick, if I had one, I would pick Kansas City against the Bears. That would be mine. Just advance to week 4, survive in advance.
Yeah. Did you not play the pool, or did you get knocked out of the pool?
No, I'm not in one this year. The one that I'm usually part of that's run, the guy took a year off. Credit to him. He was a machine when doing it, and this year he said he was too tired, so I respect his decision. But if I were to pick one this week, it would be Kansas City.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I'm trying to save the Chiefs a little bit because I feel like there's opportunities to get them later in the year. I feel like I'm also going to go off the board here in case something funky happens that game, set myself up for an opportunity to do well.
Fair enough. I don't think the Chiefs are as good as they have been in years past, so I would not be as worried about saving them as other years prior where you knew they were going to win like 13 games. This year, I think they might be an 11-win team, 12-win team, which is still very good, but just you got to survive and advance in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did take like the safest pick. I feel like this week. I feel like there's a lot of good options this week, so I'm going to take one of my good ones.
All right, fair enough. Just survive in advance, man. Survive in advance.
Yep, for sure here. And Stanko, two other things here. Number one, people want to follow on social media. How can I do that?
They could follow me on social media at jstanko99 on all social media platforms, and I'm continuing to write at stankosstance.com.
Yeah, absolutely. And wanted to get your thoughts here because I was obviously following you on social media, and you've been seeing some interesting stuff of late here. So I want to give the audience an update on some of the stuff you've checked out lately.
Well, let's see. You'll be interested to know that I just watched Ant-Man and Quantum Mania, if you will. Put that on the train while doing some writing, and Mike, that movie stinks.
I
It's garbage.
I think I gave this a D when I watched it.
I think I gave it that as well. The movie is just it's not good. It's filmed like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's so CGI, it's sickening. It's not funny, and it's a stepping stone movie that's not even that exceptionally well done. So that was incredibly disappointing. My fiance made me watch Camp Rock recently, which was a movie. I've now seen two Disney Channel original movies, Camp Rock and a High School Musical. Um, and then in terms of a good one I just saw, I watched Bones and All with Timothy Chalamet. Came out last year, kind of horror romantic movie, very weird twist. And I gave myself a great project, Mike. I rewatched the entire Alien franchise, all the xenomorphs, all the time. Ripley, for she has my heart. I love her as an action hero. I rewatched all the movies and ranked them off. So I just completed that endeavor, and I'm very, very filled out in my sci-fi queue. So those are all up at stankostance.com. And yeah, I just love watching movies. But those are the things I've watched recently that have caught my attention.
Yeah, I'll throw in my note on another note I think you missed on the Ant-Man thing. I want to point out here that the plot was so thin. This one that we spent half the movie with Michelle Pfeiffer's Gianni Van Dyne basically stalling, saying, "I don't want to tell you yet because we have to keep
Yeah.
on the movie."
Yeah, I mean, you're throwing Bill Murray in there for 5 minutes, and he's not even that funny. And the movie sets up a huge problem too, because Jonathan Majors, who was the best part of the movie, without a doubt, by far the best part of the movie, we don't know what's going to happen to him. He has some serious allegations against him. The trial set for October, and he's supposed to appear in Loki too, which is premiering soon, which I'm sure you're going to watch and review. It's a very interesting place for Marvel because this movie was bad. Best part of it might not be part of the Marvel universe going forward, depending on how the litigation falls out. So it's interesting. Disney has a pickle with Jonathan Majors and Marvel at this point.
Yeah, I think he's the only reason that movie didn't get an F for me was him.
Yeah, he was good. He was menacing, and he spoke like a poetic bad guy. He spoke slow and eloquently, and it worked. And it was the only thing that did.
Yeah. Two other things I'll point out here that are coming up soon, I think are interesting to you. Obviously, number one, The Continentals drops its first 90-minute episode on Friday. I'm sure you're excited for that.
I am. I know they put like the first fight scene out on social media for people to watch. I did not watch it on purpose. I don't want it spoiled for me. I want to watch that just in full. I saw the last trailer, the massive 70s vibes, loved it. I don't want to see anything else. I don't want to see any more previews. Just drop me in that world and let me be happy for it.
All right, that's one thing. And number two, I know we didn't talk about this in the fall movie preview a few weeks ago, but like the creator apparently have been on social media getting a ton of buzz.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards' movie. I mean, people seem to love it. Whether you're a sci-fi fan or not, it seems to be getting all the praise in the world. Happy to see John David Washington back in a good movie. Again, the premise of it kind of reminded me of other sci-fi movies with the idea of AI that's relatable and how do you bring that to humanity and how do you blend it in. But from everything I've read, the movie is incredibly original and it is visually stunning. That's the part of it I'm really excited about. It's a sci-fi world that'll leave you contemplating about what the future can be. And if it's anything like the last great sci-fi visual movie that I saw is probably Blade Runner 2049 or Dune. Those are two movies visually that just they punch you in the face, they knock you out, and you kind of have to watch it twice to see everything. And it seems like the creator is kind of following that mold as well.
Absolutely, Stanko. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And I would wish you good luck on the New York Jets this week, but I am not.
Yeah, I did not expect you to.
All right. How about good health? We can wish for good health.
Yeah, we both need good health, especially my team.
Fair enough. That's true. Oh, it was a low blow by me. Accidental low blow.